first of all, we get the setting and the date, 2330. Now, this is 300 years in the future. And I want you to just kind of get the concept here. 300 years ago was 1700, right? 1700. First of all, the United States as a country didn't exist yet. We didn't really even have democracy as a legitimate form of government. This is the difference in time between the way the world worked 300 years ago and today, and how much can change in 300 years. So I want you to just take that as a concept. Also, The Expanse, the TV show series and books, is set in 2350. So very similar time frame. We're not looking at Star Wars fantasy. We're looking at like grounded in reality type stuff. So we also have a range here. It talks about 50 light years from us. So I want to show you something. This is a map of the stars within 50 light years of us. 50 light years. And according to this map, there are roughly 1,400 star systems containing 2,000 stars within 50 light years.
This is a lot of stars. This is kind of cool.
That's
I like looking at this map.
Yeah. So, and this is just a representation, showing just kind of a grid with some locations on a grid. It's kind of hard to understand this. So I want to put this into perspective. I also have the Wikipedia article on this, which lists all of the star systems within 45 to 50 light years. And this is just in that gap of 45 to 50 light years. So this is like just at the edge of 45 to 50 light years. And this is, again, just for a concept of this. This is the 5 light years, 45 to 50 light years away. And I'm scrolling down it on the screen, right? These are all the star systems, 45 to 50 light years. There are a few dozen just within that 5 light year spectrum. And within that 5 light year spectrum, there are at least 18 confirmed planets at the edge of this distance. So with many more that just could potentially be within that edge of this distance at the furthest reach of this, right? So if this is helping you to understand this, now imagine everything within that range closer than 45. Now you have hundreds or thousands of potential planets that are within this range, right? So 50 light years doesn't seem like a long range when you think about the number 50, but it's actually pretty far. If we had close to light speed travel, if we could actually travel at light speed, 50 light years is within the lifetime of a human being, right? So you could send somebody at the age of 20 to some other planet in this area and have them relocate and then found a family and still get there if you could travel at light speed. So you could have travel across this region within somebody's lifetime. But I'm imagining that they have some way of bending space, because otherwise, how are we traveling from one side of this area to another in order to explore it?
Right. And they show that off in the not the teaser trailer that I talked about, but the original showcase trailer where they blip in the space station.
Right. So unlike The Expanse, in most of The Expanse show, no spoilers, they're traveling at sublight speeds. They've developed these engines which can travel very fast, which give us the ability to travel across our solar system and start colonies on other planets. But that's only within one solar system. To travel across multiple solar systems within 50 light years is a much further distance. So there must be something else going on with technology beyond what we would just be able to develop within 300 years. So again, to Dave's previous points, aliens? Did we come across technology kind of like in Mass Effect, where we found some sort of technology that we wouldn't have been able to develop within 300 years? And we are now utilizing that, and we're trying to figure out the secrets to that technology? What do you think, Dave?
I mean, it could be. That could be the case. And And I mean, if you look at even like if you put it from a human perspective, like we've put out stuff, like we've put signals and stuff and messages out into space that are essentially saying like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
We're all the way over here. Like, so
come visit us.
Even now we have that need to be like, okay, we want to leave things for people out there just to let people know that they're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the next part, they explain that 20 years prior, so 2310, the United Colonies and Free Star Collective engaged in a bloody colony war. There was a colony war only 20 years previous. So it seems that colonizing hasn't been happening that long that things really came to a head, which makes me also think that this technology wasn't discovered that long ago. Also, these are the two largest factions in the settled systems. Again, the United Colonies. Now, this sounds like maybe a federation. And then the Free Star Collective, which sounds more like a confederation.
Yeah.
So this would make sense for their ideologies not to mingle. So the trailer moves on. It says that there are still threats, and it lists some of the threats here. We have the Ecliptic Mercs. So this is interesting because the Eclipse is a Merc group from Mass Effect. Are these called the Eclipse? Or is Ecliptic a descriptor of some sort?
And I'm pretty sure there's like an Eclipse mercenary group in Star Wars. So it seems like everyone there's like, it's kind of like the constant as you go through sci-fi universes that there's going to be a mercenary group called an Eclipse of some sort.
Right. And their gear looks like high quality. It looks like they're like a well-funded group. And then there's the Pirates of the Crimson Fleet, which sounds super piratey. Crimson Fleet. They sound very badass, but of course their gear looks low quality and like it's piecemeal because it looks like they've scavenged it off of places. And then there's the Violent Spacers, and Spacers, that's a phrase that is used in The Expanse. And my question here is, are they a faction or is this just a descriptor? Are Spacers people who don't live on planets or people who are just not born on planets? Like, how official is a spacer as a phrase? And we don't really know, right?
Right. Exactly. And like that could just be like violent spacers could just be like a raiders essentially, you know, like they're kind of nondescript.
Right. Are these just like the generic bad guys that we run into as we're just kind of flying around the universe, right? Oh no, we ran into some more spacers.
Oh no, it's goblins. Watch out for goblins.
Right. And then we get the fanatic religious zealots of House Varun, VA''RUUN. Now this sounds very Dune to me.
Yeah, once you say house and then in an indiscernible word right after that, you're pretty much getting into Dune, especially when you start bringing in fanatical religious organizations.
Right. Also, it kind of feels a little bit Fallout with like this fanatical group that believes in like, I don't know, some sort of end of the world thing, or there always has to be some sort of religious fanatics in some sort of sci-fi or fantasy context.
Right.
Now, why are they religiously fanatical? Who knows? We don't know yet. We don't know anything about them. My guess is that it has something to do with, I don't know, the end of the world and the dangers of exploring space, or, I mean, it's either one direction or the other. It's either we've gone too far with technology, we need to pull back. It's either something like that, or more likely, it's like the further extent. Like, we worship technology, we worship the aliens, and we need to do everything we can to ascend to godhood. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably more like that. So that's most of it. And then, of course, they talk about Constellation as an organization again, exploring the deepest reaches of the settled systems. So I guess the furthest boundaries that we've been to so far in the settled system. So I think what we're looking at is that in the last 20 years or plus where we've been settling the systems, we've only gotten so far. So we're at the current extent of where humanity has settled, and it's Constellation's job to push those boundaries and to continue delving deeper into what else is out there, uncovering the secrets.